All right, welcome back to the Safety Podcast. We're going to review corrective actions and preventive actions and what are the difference between the two when it comes to safety, more specifically with near miss reporting and incident reporting. So again, just kind of overview of the podcast here as I'm recording. I'm Jeremy Stenger, the EHS manager for Protein North America, and want to kind of cover some topics in this setting with PowerPoint. Maybe we'll adapt and make things a little bit more interactive as we go, in the future with this kind of media per se. So, what is a corrective action? So we're just going to jump right into it and get into what a corrective action is. Right. So corrective action is the process used to identify errors and problems when it comes to really anything within business. Right. It could be a corrective action you implement from a quality perspective to prevent something from reoccurring, hopefully in the future, from production wise as well. But from a safety perspective, we identified an issue, we corrected that issue, and we move forward, and hopefully we get a better result in the end. So we determine key causes of issues, so which is good. We figure out the key causes, we implement a corrective action. Hopefully, those key causes go away. Apply a solution to fix the problem. It's reactive in nature and taken after reported events. So when an event occurs, say we had a near miss, we had somebody maybe slip and fall, didn't get hurt, but they slipped on something, maybe something wet on the floor from a roof leak, right? And the corrective action is, well, we cleaned up the wet floor. It's no longer wet. Maybe we went a step further and was like, well, the roof's leaking, so we fixed the roof. That'd be another corrective action. We'll get into preventative action measures later in these slides, but you kind of look at it as you have a problem, you put a solution to the problem, you kind of correct uh, the problem pretty basically. In other words, so actions can be proactive due to deep dive into root cause if incident is investigated fully. So again, if you have an incident, a near miss, you properly investigate it, you figure out what your root causes are, you can apply corrective actions to those root causes to help prevent reoccurrence. Maybe it's not so proactive, but it's, hey, we do have a problem X and we implement solution Y and it solves for X, right? It's pretty simple, pretty basic. Aims to prevent future reoccurrence. Everything that we do, especially from a incident reporting and a corrective action, preventive action standpoint, is to prevent reoccurrence from happening or, the severity of that problem from increasing. Corrective action quality, it's always applied after the incident. So unfortunately, with the quality of a corrective action, it's after it's reactive. It's always, we're not thinking, proactively like we're doing a job hazard analysis and we're thinking, okay, what could happen? And then we're implementing solutions to prevent that, undesirable event from happening. But it's more of after the fact, after something's occurred, right? Apply to problems, accidents, and issues requiring a team attention. So, the more people we get involved to investigate near misses incidents, the easier it becomes to implement these solutions and solve our problems. Investigate all potential causes is critical, right? So you just can't figure out one root cause and then move forward, right? There could be multiple root causes of why something happened. With the water on the floor, it could be, hey, we had a heavy down, a heavy rain. You could have had a gutter stopped up, and then, water got into some areas that had some cracking in the roof and leaked in the floor, and somebody might have saw the leak even and just didn't pick it up, and then Johnny walks by and slips in it, right? So there could be multiple uh, root causes. We just got to investigate all the potential root causes and apply the proper corrective actions to those causes to prevent reoccurrence. Corrective action application process. Identify the root cause of the issue. You develop a solution, and then monitor the situation for effectiveness. So, did it prevent a reoccurrence? Right. So we implement a solution to said problem. Does it keep happening again? Right. I know we, from a JBT and EHS perspective, that's something that we're trying to uh, get a better understanding on in the business. On, are we implementing the proper corrective actions? If we are we preventing reoccurrence? We can't really gather that data totally out. We can just see what kind of comes through as being what's being reported, and are we having the same factors? A lot of the same reoccurring factors is more behavioral based, behavioral functions than they are, unsafe work conditions that can easily kind of be resolved through, an improvement of somehow. Maybe it's an improvement with the PPE or some kind of engineering solution or control that we've implemented to prevent that. But when it comes to, having procedures and having PPE and relying on people to perform that function, and behaviors are involved and pressures are involved and other kind of work stressors and outside stressors, the psychology of it kind of deters from being able to figure out if we are implementing proper corrective actions to prevent reoccurrence. What is a preventative action? So step two, preventative action. So we're thinking about being preventative, proactive, more mindseted than reactive. Identifies, anticipates, and mitigates potential problems, right? So maybe we didn't have a problem, but we have a potential of an additional problem, right? That's kind of what preventative action is thinking about. Now, when it comes to process map and implementing a near miss and a corrective action from that, we can look at preventative actions for future occurrence. Maybe it's, hey, we need additional training on this topic to prevent this action from happening again or this incident from happening again, right? That's kind of proactive mindseted, right? Maybe it's, hey, we need to investigate this. We temporarily have a corrective action, but we need to look at this from an engineering and design standpoint to implement a better solution. Proactively, before something else happens again, that would be more of a prudent action, from a near miss standpoint. But you can think this a little bit more in depth and think about, just hazard assessing your work environment and thinking about things that could happen and what we can do beforehand to mitigate those problems from occurring. It aims to reduce chances of issues from occurring or lessen their impact. Aims to boost efficiency and productivity. So if you're more proactive, you think about it up front, in the end, it's going to be more efficient. You're not going to have a loss of productivity because you had an incident happen. You have to stop work, fix the issue, and then move forward. You already know about the potentials up front. You've implemented those solutions, and you can go forward and be more efficient and more productive. Focus on minimizing problem likelihood. So, again, just a proactive mindset just focuses on everything, like I said before, just minimizing a problem that could occur, and being more efficient because you've anticipated certain problems and you've implemented certain actions to help mitigate, that problem from likely occurring or having. Preventive action for efficiency. So prevents problems, halting workflows, kind of like I said. So if you have a problem, you have a near miss, you have a quality problem, anything, you have to stop work or halt activities and reevaluate. Maybe it's even a design process or something. You halt that activity, it's going to slow your process down. You can put other people at work. You get other factors can be involved, get people stressed out. You can get people rushing. After you implement a said corrective action per se, and then you can have and open up, yourself to other exposures that you may not have foreseen at the start. So always be, diligent and think about future state when you're thinking about, preventative actions. Reduce costs of fixing issues, essential before operations start. Um, right. So, costs of fixing issues. So we think about it up hand, and we prepare and we prep. even from a safety aspect, it's easier than it is if we have a catastrophic issue or an incident where we've damaged something and have to fix and repair for things when we could have at the front of that prevented that incident from occurring with maybe it's training, maybe it's engineering, maybe it's different tools, maybe it's different way we lift something up, right? Maybe we should have took more time on doing a safe lift plan when we're hoisting something up than using whatever we have and what are the resources that we got and then making it unsafe environment and then something falls, potential fatality involved, and then property damage and damage to equipment or customer issues, things like that, that could project costs to be even higher. And of course, essential before operations of starting. So if you're going to start a new operations up, right? Hopefully, we've done a management of change, right? We've went through all of the list factors on the MOC and thought about worst case scenarios and what do we have in place to prevent, said worst case scenario from occurring that we've implemented to prevent that from occurring. So it's definitely critical in that step. Preventative action steps for workers, assessing potential risks and problems. So we should always be assessing our potential risks and problems every day before we start work, right? Just naturally. I know it can get a little bit, um, kind of a, Groundhog's Day effect when we're doing the same thing every day, but, we need to be diligent in thinking about our processes, taking our time to plan ahead and to implement anything that could prevent an action or an incident from occurring or near miss from occurring. Develop preventative measures to reduce issues, right? So we do have um, preventative measures in place from our KPIs and our bowlers that help us push proactive metrics, right? Near miss reporting. But from that, we're going in a little bit deeper and we're looking at CAPA completions. We're looking at CAPAs versus preventative actions, right? We want to increase our preventative action mindset and making sure that we have at least of every CAPA, 20% of those CAPAs are preventative actions and not just corrective actions that we've just implemented, right? We move the pallet out of the walkway. Okay, well, why was the pallet there in the first place, right? Is there something upstream that we can implement preventatively way in advance to have that from not occurring again? And having that reoccurrence of that near miss and being able to track that too and figuring out, what is reoccurring and are we implementing the right solutions is critical. Regularly monitoring the situation, ensure worker safety and minimize issues. So again, regularly monitoring the situations, the work environment, the near misses that come through, the observations, reading the observations, what's being suggested, we're giving feedback, all this kind of is tied in together. The safer we are, the more efficient we are, the better the morale is, the more preventive actions we implement goes a long way in reducing any kind of the risks downstream in injuries prevention, property damage prevention, cost cutting, because we're spending less money on damages and repairs and rework, and we're focusing on more proactive metrics and quality issues. So big thing here is what's the difference? So the focus corrective action addresses existing issues with the organization and team. It ensures safety through operations by addressing and reporting safety issues. Preventive action aims to prevent future issues by conducting thorough workplace inspections and risk analysis. Right. So if you have an incident, you're going to have an investigation. You're going to have a root cause analysis, right? Risk analysis, root cause analysis. Potato. And you kind of deep dive and you implement some preventative actions with your corrective actions, right? So incident occurs, you implement some corrective actions for the short term to be able to do the work safely. And then long term, what's your preventative actions to prevent the reoccurrence, right? Are we going to focus on training? Are we going to focus on process, SOP, procedures, right? Could be anything. That's why when we do an investigation, we do a risk analysis, we need more parties involved than just EHS. We need operations, we need line management, we need the workers that are involved with doing the daily tasks. We need, external input from engineering or from project management, etc., to do some of these risk assessments, analysis, and investigations thoroughly. It involves implementing preventative measures to reduce the likelihood of these issues. So, kind of like what I've already said and what I've already been repeating. Reactive versus proactive. Corrective actions are reactive, reacting to reported issues, right? Proactive actions aim to prevent or mitigate potential problems. So that kind of gives you a pretty good definition of what the focus is between the two, and reactive versus proactive. Importance of both. Again, they're both important. We need to have both to be able to prevent injuries, prevent unwanted incidents, unwanted desirable actions in the workplace, right? So safeguards workers, ensure high product quality, enhances efficiency. I firm believer that operating efficiency and safety kind of go hand in hand. The more efficient you can be, typically the safer you are, right? You have things that are wrote out on a standard operating procedure. You've come into play and talked about how you're going to lift things and move things and work on things safely as well, and having that being involved in that development of that procedure. Or you take that procedure and you develop a job hazard analysis, and that's where you can even be more proactive and think about some corrective and preventive actions during those workflows and those processes and those job tasks that we perform. Establish clearer workflow for corrective actions. So our workflow really generally runs through process map and assigning a corrective actions to individuals that are responsible for that work area, or who could help get it to those that can help solve the issue, assigning due dates, and of course, having reports generated to check that work and make sure that it's complete. Right. Next step would be, okay, how efficient are those corrective preventive actions working? Are we getting reoccurrence? Right. That's the next step of this safety evolution, is to be able to capture that data a little bit better. Immediate concerns versus long-term solutions, right? So corrective actions address immediate concerns, root cause, identification, aids, then the problem, elimination. So correct the concern immediately, so it's safe, and then long-term, what are we implementing to prevent the reoccurrence, right? Yeah, they keep putting the pallet there. Well, why? I don't know, is not a good answer. We need to investigate. We need to interview people. We need to ask those that are involved, like, hey, why does the pallet keep ending up there? Well, there's no place to put the pallet. Well, we need to establish a place to put the pallet. Maybe it's a 5S issue we can implement and, address, and end up fixing that issue, and we never see another pallet near miss ever again. Hope so. Same way with safety classes. We have contractors, employees, visitors not wearing proper PPE. Okay, why is that? Well, they don't know the rules before they come on site. Well, if that's the case, then we need to implement a contractor visitor safety program and ensure that those individuals that come on site get trained, know our expectations, right? All that is communicated to those that may be bringing visitors in, right? It's a lot more layers into that as well. And then, of course, the auditing of that process is in a whole nother situation as well. Short-term solution is, hey, we talk to the employee or the visitor, they put safety glasses on, they went on their merry way. But if it keeps happening again, what can we do to implement that? Well, we write a procedure, a policy, communicate that out. This is our expectations. This is what happens when you don't meet these expectations. This is how you communicate this in the training that's required for visitors, contractors to come on site or work for JBT, X, Y, and Z. There you go. And then continual, check, do, act, process along the way. Preventative actions are long-term solutions to minimize future problems. Self-explanatory there, pretty much. And that's all I have for that. Hopefully it was coherent enough that people could understand the message I was trying to get out. So in the future, I'll try to um, maybe get away from PowerPoint a little bit more and do a little bit more video based out on the shop floor. Potentially, again, this is just, if I got some time, I'll put this together, voice it over the best I can, and then, broadcast this out to those that want to know the difference. Again, though, this can be shared and will be shared and accessed in the HSE SharePoint. So if you need to know where that's at, you can get a hold of me. But I would like to be, maybe recording one of these sessions at least a couple times a month to send stuff out. So if you get any suggestions of what we want to talk about next, um, you can let me know. One thing I did create, those that may still be watching or listening, is this kind of rundown of how I have it broke down for the podcast, right? So we want to create a podcast that requires a careful planning organization to effectively convey important information while keeping your audience engaged. It's tough to do when it comes to safety sometimes. But the episode overview, provide a quick overview of the topics to be covered in the episode, right? I'm kind of just jumped right into it. Maybe I'll get a little bit better at that, but practice makes perfect. Um, Safety tips, best practices. I like to get to that point where we're talking about safety tips, best practices more often. Q&A sessions, we can do that. Maybe some spotlight on safety successes, some guests, personal stories, anything like that that may come to fruition as we grow, or just say I get better at this. But anyway, like the bottom says with the outro, thank you for tuning in, listening, and hopefully I provided some information that was worthwhile. And if you have any questions, you can contact me whenever you would like. So anyway, everybody have a great day and a great week.